From Ivory Tower Populism, this is Video 12, Make the Tiebout Model Relevant Again, from the Nerdy Podcast series.
The Tiebout Model states, if various local governments offer a variety of goods, meaning local government services, at a variety of prices, meaning local tax rates, then people will move to those jurisdictions that best meet their preferences and values. Some locales are high tax, high service. Some are low tax, low service.
This would be hugely beneficial. This model indicates that you will know what residents demand from their local governments because they will reveal it by relocating. Local governments will spend the right amount of money on the right goods. This solves the free rider problem in local governance. Local government officials will represent local residents' interests because they have to. Citizens will get what they pay for.
But even further, if you see local residents as not just consumers of good local government, but producers as well, termed citizen participation, co-production, co-creation, then this model is even more profound. If free riding off of my local government is not actually a preference that I'm willing to pay for, then the local community that motivates me to actively participate in the provision of the goods may achieve greater attractiveness to residents, just as surely as government leaders themselves not being corrupt. Egoism can lead to seemingly altruistic behavior in this model. Essentially, citizens don't just contribute taxes, they contribute participation. So maybe we could think about separating those two functions, taxes and participation.
Now, this model does have some key assumptions. First, perfect information. You know what all the municipalities offer and how effectively and efficiently they offer it. There is objective data by which to make informed decisions before you actually relocate. Second, no transaction costs. You can relocate at zero cost, both in time and money. Third, no externalities. Decisions in one community do not affect other communities, positively or negatively. Fourth, many communities to choose from. If these club goods can be provided efficiently by multiple jurisdictions, that is, communities will achieve an optimal size or level of decentralization. See Video 11 on the importance of forming the correctly sized responsibility center. Finally, there is equal financing of the public goods by all local residents. You pay for what you get. This may be more of a limitation. It's a lucky coincidence that the rich have more money to fund stuff. So are these realistic assumptions?
Well, regarding assumptions 3 and 4, in a large country like the US, you can form large enough jurisdictions to internalize most of the externalities, but still have competition between communities. So if we correctly size the communities, I feel pretty good about these two assumptions. Nevertheless, I know what you're thinking. These other assumptions aren't even close to being true, and you didn't really fully internalize human capital. Those benefits are diffused, so these are unrealistic. But that's really not the important point. A better point is, the closer to reality that the assumptions are, the closer to reality that the results are. The tremendous benefits of actually having good local government. This means no local corruption, no free riding within responsibility centers. That would be incredible. So if we're thinking about innovation or design thinking in government, maybe we can think about what role the federal government can play in designing a system where the assumptions of the Tiebout model are closer to being realistic.
And performance-based crowdfunding of public education ISAs does just that. See Video 11. First, since relocation presents huge transaction costs, we need the financing of local government to be separate from relocation. Video 10 describes 3 possible different funding vehicles of this system: the index fund, actively managed funds, and the pure crowdfunding system, which would drive transaction costs almost to zero. Money moves more easily than people. Also, the ISA payback rates themselves, measuring the return on human capital investment, do an excellent job of providing objective data about where to put our retirement dollars, and it would help with long-term relocation decisions. The trustees could also track other intermediate performance data, such as graduation rates and SAT scores. So now I feel pretty good about the first 2 assumptions. The performance-based funding also helps to internalize human capital, meaning to correctly, fully value it. All investments made, both privately and publicly, within the responsibility center, which truly create economic value, will be measured, and educational investment dollars will chase those opportunities.
Regarding the equal funding limitation, linking this to the nationalized Social Security pension, which has some income redistribution, does improve upon the status quo. See video 10. This plan would remove the wage withholding cap in order to fund both this system and the pension. So in this scenario, the working class would pay nearly as much for local goods, while the rich would mostly pay for the nationalized pension.
Even though this performance-based crowdfunding system is national, the differences in cost of living between, say, New York City and rural Pennsylvania do not matter if people do not relocate between the responsibility centers. These public services are rather labor-intensive, so high cost of living affects the outcome wages and the input wages about the same. Now, there is a problem with relocation between regions. A high school in rural Pennsylvania might focus on placing graduates in expensive Manhattan. So if someone does get a job in New York City, then that person's employer would pay New York City the ISA rate, and New York City would pay that rural Pennsylvania community. For best results, those two payments would not necessarily be a wash, but rather reflect differences between supply-side spending on education and demand-side job opportunities. Specific ideas will be presented in the next video.
And these are the references for this lecture. This concludes this episode of the Nerdy Podcast series. So, until next time.